Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Facebook James. You know what? I decided to stop the countdown because we were having some computer issues over here. However, on the other side of the intro, we are going to be joined by varsity head coach Chris Hyduke, and we're also going to recap, talk about the season, and we're going to recap the game this past Saturday against the Granada Hills Charter High School Highlanders. And so stick around, and after the intro, we'll go ahead and get into everything that relates to Pali football. See you in a second.
Hey, win on me, win on three, ready, 1, 2, 3. Win! Yeah! Stop playing with a beat! 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 Stop playing with a beat!
Some call it the gridiron.
Nice route, way to skim it.
Others, 100 yards of pain.
Too much.
We just like to call it football.
Football.
With Facebook James.
Football, baby.
Hey, football, baby. Indeed, welcome to the show on this wonderful Monday evening here, coming to you live from Dolphin Studios. I am your host, Facebook James, and we were experiencing some difficulty with the technology over here on my side. I started the stream a few moments ago and just discovered that we weren't live, so I had to kind of readjust. And so hopefully you're able to see everything and hear everything. And so if you're watching right now, I just did a couple of tests just to make sure that we're able to read the comments. And so I did put in a hello from Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, that's cool. Go ahead and drop us a couple of notes just to let us know that you're watching. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, if you happen to be, I'm actually live on my own personal channel instead of This Week in Pali Football. So it is what it is. But so we're happy to have you here on the live tonight. And again, just going to recap what an amazing season we had this past year with the Pali football players, the coaches, the parents. I mean, it was just an amazing season. And so, when you lose about 30 plus seniors, and it's almost like starting over at the beginning of the season, you kind of didn't know who was going to step up. Yeah, we had several seniors, probably about 20 seniors on the team who kind of stepped up and did what they needed to do. And they really stepped up and made the team seem like a brotherhood, as Christian Ball, as he always says, he loves his football brothers. And this will definitely be another season that is, that will go down in Pali athletic history as one of the best seasons ever. I mean, it wasn't a repeat of last year's 11-1 season. These guys went 10-4. They went all the way to the Division I championship. And so, first time since 1987, I believe. And so just a wonderful accomplishment by the boys this season. And so, Maureen, thank you for watching. Maureen LaScala, thank you for, we appreciate you watching and just being a part of Pali football. So you know what? Here's what we're going to do. I don't have that many updates other than I do have one particular update that I do want to remember, and that is we want to call everyone's attention to, if I can see it, here it is, the football banquet. Now that the season is over, we can finally get over to the football banquet and just kind of reminisce, go down memory lane with all of our football players and their families. And this is a day, an afternoon where we have what I call, to borrow a term from church, food, fun, and fellowship. We're going to have food, fun, and football. And so we want everyone to come on out, and there will be some information sent via email. And also we'll post some information on our social media platforms as well as it relates to this wonderful day, December 11th from 12 to 3. It's going to be a wonderful time. And please, definitely, if you're a senior, we want you to come on out, senior as in senior in high school. not necessarily a senior in age, but I mean, hey, seniors, age-wise, you can come on out and support too. But definitely, if you're a senior in high school and you participate on this football team, we want you to come on out and have some fun. We're going to have family, like I said, food, and this is a time to kind of give back and recognize those boys, those coaches, and support staff, on this particular day. So it's going to be a wonderful time, wonderful food, and so just come on out. Like I said, more information will be sent out via email, so you might want to check your spam folders and look forward to this particular announcement coming through our social media and on our email threads as well. So here, we made it all the way to the Division I championship, and I did put together a small video clip of just some of the things that happened on Saturday. It wasn't what we wanted to happen. Our boys were really focused. They wanted to come out, and they did not have an opportunity to play Granada Hills this September because of the heat and the fire. That particular game was called off, and so some of the boys thought that this would be like a pretend charter bowl, but also the Division I championship game. And so, like I said, it didn't go the way that we wanted to. Dejan Stanley and the rest of the boys, they ran their offense as perfect as they could. Our defense just had some problems, and our offense had some problems. Our team had some problems getting the ball into the end zone. There were some plays throughout the game. There were some amazing plays. I know Michael King-Hagan caught a long pass. Roman scored the first touchdown again. He probably did that the past 3 or 4 games, him scoring the first touchdown in the game. Our boys were doing, Sean Greer had a couple of catches in the game. Xavier had a wonderful run back, a kickoff return. And so I thought that was an amazing game. And so we do have a video that we want to kind of highlight, but also because we're recapping the whole game, you're going to see some of the Granada Hills plays in that particular video. And then after that video, we'll bring in varsity head coach Chris Hyduke, and we'll just kind of pick his brain. And I do have some stats over here. Granada has uploaded their stats as well, so we'll kind of go through the stats and talk about that. He might be able to answer some questions. So if you have a question for Coach Chris Hyduke, go ahead and put him in the chat. And, other than that, let's go ahead and kick it to the video. Just a recap of our this past Saturday, the Division I football game. So let me find it for you, and we can get it going. Where are you? Here it is. All right, enjoy. Man. It was a wonderful game. And like I said, the outcome wasn't what we wanted it to be, but it was a wonderful game. Our boys played hard. And, I kind of forgot that Roman had some of those nice, rushing plays. And so, he tried to beat him with his arm, but he definitely had some wonderful rushing plays. And so, just hats off to the boys. They played hard. It was a tough loss. And, I couldn't be more prouder of this football team than any football team, I think, because they were in the Division I playoffs. And so, instead of me bantering and going on, let's go ahead and bring in our varsity head coach, Coach Chris Hyduke. Let me bring you in real quick. There you are. Yes. Okay. What's going on, Coach? How you feeling?
I'm doing fine. Doing fine, Coach. How are you? You good?
I'm doing well, man. First of all, thank you for hopping on. I know we talked a little bit on Saturday after the game, and, you said you need to go and kind of sulk and get over the loss, man. How are you feeling right now?
I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I'm very pleased with what we did with the season. I think we might have played our worst game at the end of the year, which is unfortunate. We didn't really get to show what we were about, but 14 games is a long way to go, and I think we just kind of ran out a little bit of gas there.
Hey, no, you're right. And so I think a lot of emphasis went on their offense, but their defense was pretty good as well.
It was. They have done a good job of turning that around. It used to be very porous, but they've made some fixes or just have some good guys out there now, and they were very difficult. We struggled against them, which we felt would be one of our highlights, that we'd be able to score a lot of points and that way keep us in the game, because we figured we needed 4 stops and then score to be in the game, because that single wing and double wing that they run, it chews up time, and that kid's a great back, hard to tackle.
No, he is. And just looking, thanks, Lemuel. I saw your message. Hopefully this sound is better. If you can just let me know on Facebook, Lemuel, if my sound is a little bit better. Just send me a notification saying that my sound was kind of low. So I made some adjustments on my end. So hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better. But no, I mean, just looking at the video clip, man, of just the recap, I mean, you really had to find where this guy was, because they run, a double wing or single wing set, and that first blocker, you think he might have the ball, but it's actually that second blocker. And so, props to Granada Hills and their team, Coach Bucky Brooks and everything. And so, like you said, there's a whole bunch of emotions running around on our end. So I'm just trying to make some adjustments over here. But yeah, it was a wonderful game, wonderful season, and so hats off again to Coach to Bucky Brooks and Granada Hills. So let's kind of talk about, break down the season, and then I do have some of the stats from Granada Hills from from their side. Our stats haven't been entered as of yet, and so maybe you can kind of help us disaggregate the information that we see as it relates to the Granada Hills, and we know they didn't throw a pass, so all of it is really rushing. So
we looked at 7 films, and they didn't throw one pass in 7 films that we looked at either. So
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really funny. We played them last year and beat them pretty easily.
Yes,
and it was the same offense, but they didn't have that young man that they had Saturday.
Yes,
he was hurt or something, so he's definitely an impact player.
Yeah,
and we just couldn't find him, and they get like 8 guys to the point of attack, and if you're not lucky some of the times, you're not going to get him. He's going to go.
Absolutely, and that's what he did. So congrats to Dejan Stanley. And actually, because he's a track guy, he's a track guy, but he's also a football guy. But, he's the city champion in the 100 and 200. And so his speed is up there with Amari Yolas, right? Amari has amazing speed, and so does this guy. So, nothing to be, taken away from this dude and their team. I mean, he has amazing speed, and, the coach really knew how to use his speed and, really took the best
Yeah.
of us. So
I think I would have probably done something along those lines too with that speed that young man has. Get the ball in his hands. I mean, he carried an awful lot. Wasn't very heavy, like John McKay used to say. The ball's not very heavy. Give him a lot of carries, right? He got
absolutely,
him.
absolutely. So let's kind of reflect. At the beginning of the season, we had our home opener, I believe, against El Camino, and to our defense, or just a little bit, about our particular football team. We had about 30 guys who left the team last year, and so this year we had probably around 20 seniors, probably about 10 or 12 who really were impactful. Playing every week, and so we started with 12 to 15 guys who made a real impact. Man, kind of talk about some of the seniors on this particular team, Coach. I know we had Christian, we had Xavier, we had Chris, Marcus. I mean, just I don't want to name everybody, but go ahead and talk about just some of the leadership from the seniors on this football team.
Well, Christian had kind of a rough year this year. He missed some games, like a lot of guys did with illness.
Yes.
But when we had him around and he was able to go, he was very helpful in our successes. And your son did a magnificent job playing defense for us. Played the joker spot and carried the ball for us. He was another one that contributed a great deal. And Marcus Brown did an outstanding job at the corner spot, and he even came over and did a little bit of wide receiver for us. So we really didn't know. And we had, at one time, we had 7 underclassmen at one time on the field on defense. And so that kind of goes to show you how young we were,
Absolutely.
And then we had the Spoon Boys. The one Spoon Boy will be coming back, and the older Spoon Boy, who was a captain too, had a real good year. We relied on him to do things that needed to be done, and take care. What happened is we had to vacate. I think we vacated the leadership role when all those guys left. All those seniors left. It kind of left us without a really leadership, and we had to go and find some guys that would step up and try and take that role on, because that's a tough role.
Absolutely.
In high school to be a captain and a leadership. And I think the kids that we picked, for the most part, they all did what we wanted them to do. And like I said, the senior class, the ones that did play, and we didn't have a lot of them. We had Chris Washington and Nick Washington. They put a lot of time in Anthony, a lot of time on the field, but they really did share a lot of the time with a lot of sophomores,
Absolutely.
which was pretty unique. But for what we had to try and do and replace all those guys, I thought the senior class being very light, that was the COVID class, if you remember.
Yes, I remember.
A lot of people don't remember that those kids didn't get a football year.
Yeah.
A lot of those kids, this was their first time playing football because we didn't have a JV team that year.
Yeah.
So, they got robbed out of 1 year of development. A lot of people don't realize that. So a lot of those seniors, had minimal playing time as it was.
Yeah.
Who, we counted on later.
Yeah, no, I remember COVID year, and and in particular, just a personal story. I remember Coach Hyduke saying, or not Coach Hyduke, Coach Hyde saying, "Hey, Coach Hyduke wants to use your boy as a DB." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." And so I think that was during that COVID year, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of stepped up, and first, because everybody wants to play the offense. They want to play that sexy side of the ball, right? They want to run the ball, they want to catch the ball. Everyone wants to play on the offense, and so when Hyde said, "Oh, Hyduke likes him at DB," I'm like, okay, that's cool. And from my standpoint, whatever contribution, any of my sons can make on the football squad, they'll do it, right? Because they love football, and also because learning, you're learning positions, and so it's an extension of the outdoor or the indoor classroom. You're just outside. You're teaching concepts where the kids have to listen and follow instructions and execute. And so, for me, I'm like, hey, dude, when he told me, I was like, hey, whatever you need to do to get on the field to play, because you do want to play. He was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, learn a position, do the best you can. Don't give up. And that's what I've told all my boys throughout their playing time with football and definitely at Pali.
Yeah. Well, it's really kind of like you put it, it's an extension of the classroom. Myself, I taught for 36 years in the classroom and football coach. And it's amazing when you think about it, you have to get 22 guys, 11 on each side, to try and orchestrate them into either playing a defense or playing an offense. There's a lot of parts that go into that. And, it's really a chess game, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Moving people around in pawns and, where the ball's on the field, that all comes into play.
Yeah.
And the more experience, the better, obviously.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that he stuck with that position, especially, last year and then, this year. And then, him and other boys, not, I don't want to just focus on my son, but also, you had, Chris Washington, who played both ways. Amari Yolis played both ways. And you kind of mentioned. And so you have to be versatile, especially when you have a young team. And I know that you guys used as much as you can out of those seniors, having them play both ways. I think, some of the boys were able to get a break. I know Christopher Washington, a couple of times he got injured. And then Anthony would hop in and run the ball, right?
Yep.
And so it was just, I think it was a perfect combination of knowing what the guys bring to the table, or in this case, bring to the field, and using their gifts and exploiting them, for the betterment of the team.
Exactly. You got, it's it's about, how you use your talent, and where you put them and where they can help you the most. And that's where a kid who says, yeah, okay, coach, I need to go play that spot for the team, I'll do it. That's very important, because everybody's important on that football team. It's
Absolutely.
just not, it might look like one guy, but if the other guys aren't doing what needs to be done, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's really working together. It's a great sport, and you got 11 guys all trying to do the same thing on both sides of the ball. So that's why it's interesting. That's why people like to come and watch it. It's a great game.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. So just kind of going back to the season, we had a pretty easy start. We had El Camino and then San Fernando. San Fernando. I think we won both of those games, and those games were expected games that we were going to win. And I think we won those games really, really easy by, I think we got into the 50s for the San Fernando game. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Actually, I can tell you right now. I can tell you.
What's sad about that, Coach, is the fact that Tim scheduled those teams because he wanted to upgrade the front end of our schedule.
Sure.
And at one time, San Fernando had been one of the powerhouses
Absolutely.
in the city.
I remember. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think a couple of years ago they won the city championship, and it might have been Division I. So, they were definitely a good team.
Yeah, and so I don't know what's happened over there, but they've fallen on some tough times. They want to drop us, obviously, so we'll be looking for somebody else soon,
Absolutely.
And then we had the the Granada Hills Cleveland situation. It was pretty interesting.
Yes.
I was telling some people today or yesterday that week we had planned on playing Granada Hills, and our whole games were, schemes were based around playing them. And then when they called us, like I believe it was a Wednesday, and said, hey, we can't do this thing, Gunny over at Cleveland said, hey, we can hook up with you guys.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of a nice offer that he gave us.
Absolutely.
But we weren't really prepared to play them, to be very honest with you, because we'd been scheming for Granada.
Right. Yeah, so the score for that San Fernando game, so El Camino we won 35-19. San Fernando was 51-7. I think they finally scored a touchdown near the end of the game. And then we had someone that we'd never played before, St. Jean. We actually won that game. It was kind of iffy because we had them we were up by maybe 21 points, I believe. And third quarter, they started to come back. And so we actually won that game 34-21. They scored 21 unanswered points in the third quarter.
That team, that St. Genevieve, that's another one Tim scheduled. The year before that, they were 10-2 and had gone quite far in the CIF playoffs.
Right.
And they had a down year this year. I'm not sure if they won a game.
Right.
but they were well coached, and you could tell, they were just lacking in talent at that particular time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then I'm looking at the Cleveland game that we were referencing a few moments ago. That was a loss 34-14. So we lost by 20 points in that particular game. And so, like you
That was
said,
a wake up. That was a wake up call.
That was a wake up. That was, I think, the St. Gen, the way that they played was like a wake up call. And then definitely the loss to Cleveland and the Brentwood School with that loss 28-21. The guys were kind of like, okay, what's going on? We lost 2 in a row. We're not looking good. But you guys still got back on track after that loss to Brentwood.
Well, that Brentwood game, that 28-21, that's a good high school football game. They were a good team. They had, I think they ended up 8-2 this year. They got eliminated in the playoffs, I think, second round. But they were good. They got a good quarterback, and that was no easy cake. That you're going to have to battle to win that game.
Absolutely.
And that's always a good game because it's a rivalry game. You kind of can know where you're at. I didn't feel too bad walking away from that one. I felt worse walking away from the Cleveland game.
Yes.
Because we just didn't play well. The Brentwood game, we were okay. We only got beat by a touchdown. And we were doing the right things getting ready for league.
Absolutely. And I forgot I can punch you in here. So I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I do have the scores. Okay. So then we hopped into league play. We had University. That was a win, 56-12. Hamilton was 40-6. Fairfax 41-8. All of those were league games. Westchester, and all of those games we were expected to win, and we had some phenomenal performances in some of those games.
We did. I tell you, the Hamilton game was supposed to be the big challenge in the league. Everybody was saying that they were going to, and they were, they were a good little club, and we went over there and kind of rolled them a little bit, which kind of surprised me, but I think that got our confidence coming back up because you didn't gain much confidence from the Uni game because Uni is a tough game to go play.
Yeah.
And then, but Hamilton, you can kind of get a good, they got good athletes and they're well coached, and you can kind of figure out where you're at.
Absolutely.
And, we felt better coming off that Hamilton win.
Now, I will say, Coach, just looking or just, reflecting on the University game, I like the way that you guys came out and threw, several passes to Amari Yolis at the beginning. We talked about some of those seniors playing double, both ways. He was the guys that he was a player that you guys just, once you went on offense, you threw him the long passes and really put us up ahead and kind of set the tone for the rest of that game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we wanted to get in there, get up quick, and then let a lot of the kids that don't get to play. And that we accomplished that goal, and we got a lot of kids in that night. Got a lot of kids got some experience for a lot of kids that probably wouldn't get much the rest of the year.
Sure.
Yeah, that was important.
And then in some of those games, we did get banged up. I believe Anthony got banged up earlier in the season, so he wasn't really able to contribute like he really wanted to. Let me see. I know he kind of stands out. And then we had Marcus. I believe Marcus, he had a wonderful game. I believe we played Hamilton, came to us, and that was a game that he had like 3 touchdowns within 6 minutes. I mean, he was just on the ball that particular game.
Yeah. It was his night, kind of how that goes sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not throwing shade at some of the other players, like the QB play, the wide receivers. I'm just not mentioning them because that's a given. Roman played his heart out. I know there was a QB. You guys were in the earlier games trying to figure out which QB you wanted to go to. Was it Zach or was it going to be Roman? And so I think you guys finally settled in on the quarterback. Maybe was it the Brentwood game that you guys finally made the decision?
I think it was. I think it was after that when we said, well, we got to stop doing this and settle on one guy.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult. Both great kids, and Roman at that particular time was ahead of the game, so he got the call.
Absolutely. And Roman, I think during that Hamilton game, I'm sorry, not Hamilton, University, I think that game he threw over 225 yards, if I remember correctly. He had like I said, he was throwing to Amari, and the boys were just catching those passes that he was throwing up. So, shout out to Roman leading this team and stepping up and doing what he needed to do week after week. And then we hopped into Fairfax. That was a good win for us, 41.
Yeah. They're always a good team. They're another good measure.
Yes.
You can kind of
Yes.
where are we really at? Okay?
Yes. Absolutely. I was going to say that.
The next one, really, the Westchester, I always, and Tim did too, we always can kind of figure out where we're at when we play Westchester.
Right.
Yeah, because he brings it, and his kids bring it, and they're no nonsense. They get up and, they get after it.
Absolutely. And then we get our nemesis, our rival, Venice. That was a big loss right there because the boys really wanted to come out and execute. However, they were unable to get it going that particular weekend. Let me just kind of click over and look at the box scores just to kind of, see who had a good game and who didn't have a good game. So we knew that their QB was, he was a D1 prospect, Paul Kessler. He knows how to sling the rock, right? So he had 300. When I look at this, 331 yards passing on us.
Yeah,
My goodness.
Could have been more.
Yeah.
I mean, we everything we couldn't do anything right. Like the Saturday, nothing we did was good that night. Nothing.
Yeah.
We had a guy catch the ball on the 1 yard line and they rip it away from him. Instead of us getting a touchdown, they're going the other way. And they had a fine team.
Yes.
They had a good, well-coached football team.
Absolutely. So you see some of their stats as opposed to some of our stats. I'm not going to, talk about some of our stats.
Yeah.
But no, they, one guy, Robert Lamar, he had 218, yards, receiving yards. Another guy, Romeo, 102. And then I'm not too sure. I'm sorry, that was rushing. 218 rushing yards, okay?
Yeah.
And
60 points is a lot of points.
It is.
They
Absolutely.
scored a lot of points.
Absolutely. And so, you kind of see the difference between our team and that team. And so, we don't want to talk about them anymore. Let's kind of go back.
Well, their team, that was a pretty much senior. They're going to have the problem, not unless he goes out and gets guys again. They're going to have that problem that we had replacing guys. I think a lot of those guys are leaving.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so then we hop into the playoffs. I believe our record was 7-3. We finished the season 7-3, and then come our 3 wins during the playoffs. And I always said #win4. If you win 4, then you're going to win the championship. And so we won 3. We beat Huntington Park 48-0.
Yeah.
We beat Donnelly 42-14, and then Narbonne 45-36. And so, Donnelly was my favorite game, and I think you know why that was my favorite game, Coach.
Tell me.
That was the one. So I think in the fourth quarter, it was 21-14, and you guys just wanted to chew up the clock, and then y'all just gave the ball to Xavier. Chris was out. Grinding. Yeah, Chris was out. Anthony was out. You gave the ball to Xavier, and he just every time he got the ball, he just ran and scored a touchdown. And so it wasn't like that. It wasn't like he was going to stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You wouldn't want him to do that.
Absolutely.
God, no way. But that team surprised. They were physical. They were. It to them. I had no idea who this team was, to be very honest with you. I'd never heard of them before until they came on the radar.
Yes.
But they had a nice little squad. They could play. They were tough.
No, they were. I was kind of nervous with them and Narbonne. I was because of Narbonne's history, right? They have a championship winning pedigree in the city.
Right.
And so we know that they're rebuilding, but we didn't know which team was going to show up. But I'm glad we were able to get that win against Narbonne because, like I said, they're historically they know how to win.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got a nice coach, the new coach there who's going to rebuild that. He's got a nice group of young kids there that they're going to be solid. It won't take too long. They won't have to cheat anymore like they got in trouble for doing. They can play just normal football and not worry about that,
Absolutely.
And Yeah, I told him, I thought, you're doing a nice job with this program,
Yeah.
and that you're bringing it back, man, and that's great.
Yeah, and then I'm also grateful that Narbonne decided to beat the number 2 seed Carson, because
Exactly.
we already won our game, and then by Narbonne defeating Carson, I think Narbonne was number 6. We were the number 3 seed. That meant another home game for the Dolphins.
Exactly. I mean, we had 3 of them. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Very
It's nice to, not have to get on a bus and go somewhere. Definitely.
Absolutely, man. And then our home fans, they showed up and did what they needed to do as well. So it was a wonderful game. And then we got the box score here. We know the final outcome, 44-7. And so here's kind of what we had to deal with. So again, no stats have been entered for Pali as of yet, and I'm sure they will be. But as you can see, first of all, if you didn't know, Granada Hills does not have a QB. They run, I guess, like a wildcat kind of situation, or they just hand off. They just hand off to this guy, number 1, Dejan Stanley. So
they get 8 guys. They get 8 guys to the line of scrimmage, and he ends up. We call it the tunnel. He ends up inside that tunnel, and as they move along, he looks for the first opening, and then he hits it.
Yeah.
So he's protected in that tunnel.
Yeah.
And you have to break that tunnel down, and if you can't break that tunnel down, you're not going to get to the guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a tough offense to deal with.
So you see you see what kind of day he had. He had 25 carries, 378 yards. He averaged 15.1 yards a carry. His longest was 90 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns on us on Saturday.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is amazing. And then his cousin, Daryl Staley, he's a sophomore, so he has two more years, and I'm kind of anxious to see what they're going to do with Daryl. Daryl doesn't have the same speed as Dejan, but we'll see. But he carried the ball 10 times for 48 yards, and then they had some other guys try to carry the ball as well. But the main guy that you're looking at all these stats right here was Dejan Stanley, and so
definitely he was the man, and he carried the ball, boy, carried the load.
He really did.
And that's another game. We could not get started. We do something really good on offense, and then we couldn't stop them on defense. It was like we never could finish. It seemed like. Right. I don't know how many times we were in the red zone. I would think 3 or 4 times and didn't score.
Absolutely.
We're on the 2-yard line and couldn't score. So, you're not going to win many games doing that.
Yeah. No.
It could have been closer. I really believe if we would have been played a little bit better game, that game would have been closer. I'm not saying we would have won it, but it would have been closer to a football game. Absolutely.
And then, because this is just my observation, Coach, just because I'm there on the sidelines, and I'll give a statement near the end of the show about me not being able to live stream on Facebook. But, I just see the temperament of the guys. And when they get down early, they kind of, they kind of begin to hang their head low as if they can't come back and continuing to play through the 3rd and 4th quarter. Once they get down, it's just like, okay, they have that defeatist mentality, and it's really hard to flip the switch back on. It's like, hey guys, there's some more time on the clock. We have to play.
Well, it's funny. Larry Palmer, which you knew Larry, used to tell me that was the curse of the Palisades. And, he said if once we got down, we would kind of lose a little energy. And he told me that when I first came up to Pali. And he was right. He'd been there a long time. And it's a hard thing. You got to break that habit. That's, we try and break that habit. It's tough. You're not always going to be, on top. You got to fight. It's a dog fight.
Yes, absolutely. Eric Navarro saying, yes, sir. I'm not too sure what you were saying, yes, sir, too, but yes, sir. And then Maureen, she says, great observation. Yeah. And so hopefully the maturity level from this particular team, it's going to matriculate with them, with the same players who are on this team. It's going to matriculate with them to next year. And those guys who are sophomores, it'll be in their hearts. They'll remember this particular game for the next couple of years, and they'll want to that feeling will burn in their hearts, and they'll really try to come back to that same situation for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they don't want to be known as that was the best they could do, and those young kids are going to want to come back, and they got something to prove now, because we didn't play our best game, out of the whole year. Seriously, I'm not taking anything away from Granada Hills, but we did not. If you ask the kids, they'll tell you, we just didn't play our best game, and they were on, and they just took it to us.
Yeah, no, I can definitely say from an observer, and here's the thing too, Coach. People, because people know I'm affiliated, with the football team in terms of doing the social media and live streaming on the sidelines. Folks will come up to me either before or after, and they'll kind of give me their perspective of what they're seeing from the stands, right?
Interesting,
and so, some of those same things that I observe, they're observing it as well. And so I know for one, like our offensive line needs to be a little bit stronger and tougher and meaner. That's one thing that kind of hurt. I think.
No. I mean, we haven't had here's one thing too, Jim, and I think that's a good analysis. We haven't had a weight program at that school now for over 3 years. And we are not strong. And we are now in the process of going to get a real good weight program going in the off season.
Awesome.
We have to if we want to see if we want to win these types of games, like the San Pedro game, we're going to have to get stronger. That's at the end of the year, weights do matter.
Yeah. Janet Garcia is watching, and she says, yes, definitely need to break that. They need a little more discipline. And then Maureen Lascala, she says, blocking. Absolutely. And so hopefully with this weight room situation that's going to happen, that's going to allow some of these, because we have some big boys, like Dylan is big. Some of the call-ups from JV, like big dude Cole. I don't know his last name, but I just know he wore 54. He's like 6'4", 2 something.
Yeah, and he's got a good attitude. Just never played football before, so this year was it's a newbie for him. But
absolutely,
yes, we're gonna get him in that weight room and get that thing. Jesse's gonna run that program for us. And as soon as the semester ends and we come back for the second semester and everything settles down, that's when we're going to start hitting it.
Absolutely. Now, I will pull in the plug since we're talking about weight room, and I'm sure Pali could use some donations. So tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. I don't have a graphic for it, but tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. All you have to do is go to Pali football.org and you can go to our donate tab, hit that donate tab, and donate maybe 5, 10, 15, 25, whatever
Sure.
it is you want to donate to help that situation, help our kids grow a little bit stronger, faster, so that they can, be stronger, faster on the field.
Yes. I've never heard of not having a good weightlifting program. I mean, it's just because of the way things with the COVID and then the reconstruction and all that stuff. It's just, but Hyde went through it. So we're going to change it. That culture's changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just another observation. So I was just saying our offensive line definitely needs to be beefed up and stronger. What is another observation? And cats are always, telling me
about tackling. We got to work on tackling.
You know what? Absolutely. Instead of, and I think I've mentioned it to you, you've mentioned it to me in passing. We can't arm tackle. We got to wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
We got to wrap up.
Believe me, we spend a lot of time going over that and talking about that. It's a hard habit to break, but we're going to keep working on it.
Absolutely. No, I don't want to get too specific because sometimes, especially, being a parent of boys, they'll be like, oh, well, you're talking about, no, I'm not talking about your son. I'm just saying,
sure.
So I try not to say names or, I just position groups need to get stronger. Like, here's a good example. Sean Greer. Love that dude. This is his first time. Another example of a guy who's never played football before, right?
Yeah.
He's mostly a soccer guy. And so, I saw it in 7-on-7. I kind of talked about it early in some of the previous episodes about his ability to get open and catch the ball. He has amazing speed as well, but he hasn't developed that time like some of the other guys who've played football over and over again. This is his first time. So I would love for him, to maybe get some more coaching, just understand, how to get open and receiving the balls. Now, I can mention Sean because I have a relationship with Sean, and I know Sean is cool with it. He understands. He's like, look, this is my first year playing football,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And he'll say, yeah, I need to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so does the other kid we have right now. I forget his name right at the top of my head. He's a track guy, and it's his first year playing.
Absolutely. Michael.
Yeah.
Man, listen, that was a guy who caught a couple of he caught a couple of nice passes during the championship game, and he had some yards after the catch. Right?
Yeah, and he's only a junior. He's a young guy too, like Greer.
Amazing speed. So both of those guys you got coming back. So let's kind of maybe talk about who you got coming back, and then. Parents, if parents are watching or if they're going to watch, what can they do to help their kid get prepared for next season? And so let's just kind of talk about the team next year and who you have coming back and what position groups are going to be really, really key to making a push next year.
I think our quarterback situation looks good. I mean, we've got quite a few quarterbacks in the pipeline. So we'll have some depth at that area. We're going to have to find another running back, but I believe this freshman kid that's coming up is Harris is a pretty good kid, and he gets in the weight room. He lifts and is a track guy. And I've already talked to the track coach, so they're going to work that out together. We're going to have to replace our centers coming back. Dylan's coming back. We're going to take Big Cole and make him a guy. We're going to have to retool the offensive line, and we got to find a tight end. When we lost our tight end, Cameron, that really hurt us because he was so instrumental in not only catching the ball but blocking.
Yes,
and that's when we would bring him in to block. He's 6'2", 6'3", big, strong kid, and we lost that when he got hurt. So we're going to have to find another tight end. Defensively, our linebacker core is back. We have one defensive end coming back. A couple of young guys that are going to try and step forward. Our secondary will have to be revamped. But I think what the parents could do for us is to make sure that they support them in the weight room, that we get them to get and believe in that weight room, and that it's real important. We're really stressing that. If this will be the first time if we can get them in right after Christmas and get them all the way through the summer into a first game that will have a real good, it takes years to get really strong.
It does. It does.
In a program.
Yeah.
But at least they'll be stronger,
Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight. So, all these guys. And then, also, I like to, my boys have been to like summer football camps, hosted by UCLA, USC. And so, those are also instrumental because, you got college coaches who are, trying to coach and give the boys techniques that they can use, either in warming up or just in their personal preparation for the game. And so, that's always an option. It only happens, there's a short window during the summer where these camps take place. And so, hopefully if camps happen this summer, if you're a parent watching, just know, some of these camps are free. Some of them cost a little bit of money. And so, it depends, you might have to sacrifice a couple of Starbucks, right? A couple of Starbucks runs during the week.
They used to have a really good camp, and I don't know if they still have it anymore. It was out in San Bernardino somewhere. Was it like a 3-day camp?
Yes,
summer?
yeah.
And you went there and you lived there for a while. It was good.
Yeah. Now there are some where you can actually stay and become a resident. Those cost a little bit more, and they're not as they're few and far in between. Right, but the day camps, where you go there for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and get that coaching, get those techniques, get a chance to meet some college coaches. Some kids want to play at the next level. Some just want the experience of being coached by or being seen by Lincoln Riley or what's my man at UCLA, Chip Kelly, right?
Chip, yeah.
But they have college.
We have a little
workshops.
bit of a pipeline. Did you know that, to him,
I,
Chip?
I did not.
Yeah, AJ knows him real well. And matter of fact, where AJ works, Chip would come in quite a bit, and that he developed a relationship with him. And actually, Chip had Garcia and AJ a couple of weeks ago on the sideline, got sideline passes for him.
Okay.
And he said he'll do anything to kind of help us anywhere we would need help. Be more than happy to sit down with the coaches, have the kids come over. So we have a pipeline there that we can use UCLA and help us out a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's good for them and it's good for us. And, another thing that was good, I was going to say, weightlifting prevents injuries. That's
Yes.
another thing. That's big time. But anyway, that's a good thing to be aware of and utilize.
Absolutely.
But yeah, anything that's related to football, if you can get yourself a football special guy, man, get one.
Yeah.
It makes you better.
Yeah, that's what some of my son is always sons have always wanted to work out with somebody in the specialty. So it's not just going to the gym and catching some balls with dad or uncle in the park or something.
Exactly.
It's actually getting a ladder and getting that the feet work in, and so whatever there are many people who train. And now that's going to have to be on the parents' dime, but again, that depends on how much the parents are invested in, and not only the parents, if the kid is invested, right? Because if the kid is not invested, parents, do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. But if the kid is invested and they want to go to the next level and learn some skills, get that coaching, and that's going to help them with their techniques for whatever position they play.
And there's two things about that. One is being realistic. Like, do I want to help my son be a really good high school football player, or is he going to be able to go to the next level? Because there's both that. I mean, you could train with people that know, hey, you're not going on to the next level, but I can make a great high school football player out of you, versus the guys that think they have the ability to go on. And that's something to look at too once in a while.
Absolutely. My friend Erwin Woodard says that UCLA pipeline is major. He says use that, coach. So that's a good thing. And I'm sure, knowing Coach High, I know Coach AJ really well. He's definitely going to take advantage of that. And then Janet Garcia says coaches need to be a little more strict and tough on the players, more discipline and more structure. Hey, that's and that's kind of good coming from a parent, right?
Sure it is.
Because sometimes parents say all kind of stuff. Sometimes they'll talk bad about the coach or coaches or whatever. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Even during the game, it's like, okay, run this, run that. It's like, man, let the coaches do what they do, right?
Well, and a lot of that too, a lot of that's got to come from home too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's I would like to say that we're coaching, not babysitting, but I can understand her thinking. But when we need the discipline, we're going to give it to them. But a lot of that has to be taken care of at home too.
Yeah,
my personal feeling.
Yeah, like for instance, there was a helmet left on the field on Saturday. I know the number. I'm not going to say the number. I know who it belongs to. And it's like, okay, I mean, you really can't do any discipline now because the season is over. But if it was during the season, if a player left their helmet or their jersey or the football pants on the field, definitely there's going to be some consequences.
There have been.
Yes.
I've picked up. You would be amazed how many helmets I've picked up, just leaving them last practice. There's
absolutely.
And usually what happens, we don't let them start. And I tell you what, if there's one young man, I'm not going to say names either, but it was like a constant thing. It might even be the same kid. I don't know. But those helmets are $300 or $400.
No, absolutely. And so here's a trippy thing, Coach. You might appreciate this. I don't know. So, we actually bought Sir a helmet, right? And would you know that that helmet has gone through 3 Pali boys? So
Wow.
and of course we got it reconditioned, each time. So Sir, he bought it and got it painted and everything. And then Cy was like, hey, these Pali helmets ain't really working for me. I'm gonna use Sir's helmet. We're like, all right, get it reconditioned. So we get it reconditioned. And then Saver's like, oh, you know what? I like this helmet too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it got a lot of use.
It got a lot of use. It got a lot of use, man. And so, no, leaving equipment on the field, and I'm sure coaches, are going to discipline and make sure that the kids understand that that's their equipment.
Well,
And,
Jim, I'm
you gotta be
hoping one thing
responsible.
that's going to make a difference in all that. We've been living out of that coach's office down there now for like 3 years. The kids don't even have a locker room. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so you've been in the coach's office. You
Yes.
see what a mess it is in there.
Yes.
And, I don't know how they find anything as it is. I can't even get to my desk, And hopefully when we get them able to have a locker that they can put their gear in,
Yeah.
that maybe will help things a little bit. I hope so, because that's getting real old down there.
No, it is. It's going to help you guys organize because no longer are you dependent on the boys dropping their stuff off, because we know they're doing renovation upstairs. We get that. But you guys can't really have the room to do what you need to do because you got a room full of bags.
We
for
do.
Varsity players.
And gear.
So,
and a lot of the gear comes in there, too. It's just
absolutely. So, Pali, if y'all are listening to This Week in Pali Football, the admin, y'all need to hurry up and step up and finish that job that you're working on so that the football team and the lacrosse team and whoever else uses that space upstairs, the teams can use the space the way it needs to be used because, it's a problem. It's a problem with football. Let me be more specific. It's a problem with football. So go ahead and fix it fast so the boys can have their locker room. And because I remember, all the boys would walk over after the game to the football room instead of changing on the field.
Yeah, I know. And some of them changed right on the field, too.
Absolutely, yes.
That's not real good,
Yeah.
So it is a cluster, and, we need to, hopefully that'll be taken care of soon.
Absolutely.
Kids I remember AJ said that, too, if I remember correctly. He was saying that they need a locker room, a good weight room facility.
Yes. So let me go back, and as we're almost closer to the end, so Janet says, yes, I agree. And I think, Janet, because I saw this comment, I probably even put it up. I think we were talking about discipline and things of that nature. And then we're also talking about parental involvement. And so Maisha Riley, she says, parents need to let the coaches coach and parents parent. Absolutely. As a parent, I'm never going to come to Coach Hyduke and be like, hey, Coach Hyduke, you need to let Xavier run the ball 15 more times because, I don't do that. I just and I'm sure any coach who's been a part of a Pali program with any of my sons, I've never said a word about how they use my boys on the team. I let the coaches coach. I do my social media, and this is where we interact right here.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful, and I think it's a wonderful combination, right, Coach?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's tough, it's being a parent. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And keep hands off is real hard,
Yes, absolutely.
I believe, it takes the parent to have discipline to, not get too involved.
Absolutely. So Xavier says, yep, I think we were talking about the helmets and being able to have locker rooms for the boys. And so I think he's just agreeing. Maureen, I think you were talking about your question is related to the boys changing and having their things in the coach's office. And so I think we answered that. But if we didn't, basically the school is under construction with the gyms and some of the weight rooms upstairs where the boys would normally keep all of their stuff. They have a locker room upstairs, but right now there's some renovations taking place. And so now the football team is keeping their football bags in the coach's office downstairs. So that's why Coach Hajduk was saying, his room is not a coach's office. It's more of a storeroom for equipment, for gym bags, for his stuff, for other coaches' stuff, training stuff. And so it's just a mixed bag. And so hopefully Pali, the admin, can finish that construction work that they're working on. Riley says they need a locker room on the field. Hey, that would be helpful too, instead of going way upstairs. That would be great. And then Maureen says, yes, I think she's agreeing to me answering her question. And then Janet says, the minute the player steps on the field, they belong to the coaches. Thank you so much for all the support, Coach. Definitely a good season. So you got a couple of parents who are all in Coach Hajduk. They agree with you. Just like when I send my kids to school, I'm not the teacher in the classroom. I'm just the parent, and I want my teachers to teach my kids the way they need to be taught or what they need to be taught. Same thing, same vein. When my boy steps on the field, you guys are going to teach the schemes and techniques for the boys so that they can understand football just a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we've grown into doing, and that's why we're coaches. It's not because of the big paycheck. It's because of the love of the game. It's a great game. It needs to be taught correctly.
Absolutely.
And that's what we believe.
All right, Coach. Before we finish up, man, I just want you to shout out, and I'm going to have really attempt to have some of the coaches, like finishing up like an exit interview, like what they do with some of the NFL football teams. But
sure.
Can you just kind of talk about some of the coaches that we have on staff who really work hard with the boys? And I'll start off with Rocky. Talk about Coach Rocky's impact on the football squad this year.
Oh, it's great. Rock does an outstanding job. He's taking on that job now as the AD, but he does a great job putting the offense together. Him and Jonah he went and visited a school, Centennial in Corona, and their high octane program, and came away with their offense. Last year we were able to run it a little bit more because we had a little bit more, talent at different spots. But he's doing a good job, great job being the OC. And he takes care of, since he's there, he takes care of a lot of the unseen stuff that you guys and I don't see that much of. It's good. He does a great job. And then of course Garcia with the offensive line. He's been up now with me up there for 8 years, and at South for like 7. And, just a fantastic. He goes, he does the D-line and he does the O-line. And there's another guy that gives a great deal of time. He works nights so he can coach football, which is, pretty amazing. And then we have Jeremy, who took over the D this year, running the D for us. I kind of feel sorry for him because it's my defense, and I'm kind of, it's kind of hard when I'm the head coach and his boss on the defense. I'm kind of picking on him a lot, but he's done a great job getting it together, and him and AJ figuring out what we need to do on D and getting things corrected and coaching up the kids. Those guys have been totally unbelievable group of guys, man. I couldn't have a better group of guys to work with. All of them. Every one of the coaches that are on our staff I've enjoyed. And, we have our ups and downs as coaches,
Yes.
And we have to live together as a family. We all have opinions. And but most of the time we're all supporting each other, and that's what's good. We're not divided.
Sure.
And therefore, that's a good thing.
You got 2 more coaches, Coach AJ and Coach LeHenry.
Right. LeHenry is now, he was our DB coach last year. He's kind of like the smooth. He kind of smooths guys out. When guys are getting or kids are getting, kind of a little too uptight.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the calm waters. That's what I like about him. Like when I'm kind of getting really frustrated on the sideline and I don't want to show it, I'll go down and talk to him because he has a way of making me kind of quiet down. And plus he's just a really good football coach. And besides that, but I really like that mellowness of him. And Coach AJ is just great, man. He worked with me at South. He's on the other end of the spectrum. He's a full-on, give me a buffalo and I'll ride it guy, And he knows his football and he gets after it, but he's a good coach and a good friend. All those guys, just good guys, and each one of them have their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yes.
And they bring all their strengths most of the time to the program, and the weaknesses we don't deal with. They don't try and utilize those, just positive as we can be. These are young men. It gets tough. It gets tough on them. Everybody wants you to win every game, and so there's always pressure on coaches. And these guys are able to handle it well and deal with it and are realistic, So they're just a great group of guys.
Absolutely. And then my last favorite coach that you didn't mention, Coach Joe.
Coach Joe, what a miracle, huh? What a miracle.
Man,
when I first met Coach Joe, man, this was 8 or 9 years ago now. I didn't get him at all. I didn't know who he was. I was going to hide. Who's this guy, man? Should he be on campus here? He goes, oh, yeah, that's Coach Joe. And then as time went on, Tim explained, and I got to meet the man and know the man and got to appreciate him. But, yeah, he's something else. Yeah. I love that man. He's going through some hard times right now. But, he makes it to every game that he can get to, and he's just a great plus. It makes me smile when I see him coming.
Yeah.
And I think most of the kids enjoy him, and he comes from his heart, and it's not like a phony guy or anything,
Yes.
What he says he means.
Yes.
And he's really trying to give back to the kids, and him and I have some very interesting talks, and he's a good guy. I like Coach Joe, man. He's a good man.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, we're talking about Joe Spector, man. Now, Joe's my dude, spent, I think it was size last year or maybe 2 years, his junior and senior year, we would take Joe out to the Valley game. So we would, pick him up from his house, and, he would ride with us, and he'll, ride back. And so, just the conversation to have with Joe is always great. And then he always brings a smile, man, no matter what he's feeling, no matter what his health issue, crisis is. He always tries to, put a smile on the boys and encourage. And so those are some of the intangible things that Pali football has to offer. And I'm sure maybe other teams they might have someone, they might not. But I'm thankful that Joe is around. He's continuing to give to our boys despite, his own health. And so I appreciate Joe.
Yeah.
And,
if you want an example of a guy that's had to fight just to get out to a football game and has had to, give back and fight to carry on, who has to have, dialysis 4 times a week. And, there you go, man. Right. So when you're feeling bad, you should look at Coach Joe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say, look at that guy. He's here. Why can't you be here? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And while you're here, do something with it. Hit somebody, block somebody, catch a ball, run, do something. And so, I appreciate his spirit and, everything that he does for the program. All right. So we're coming to a close. Let me just get into these comments really, really quick. Corey Adams, that's Evan Narenberg's mom. Corey says, thanks for a great season. And then we talked about Janet, and John F. Evans says, really considering bringing my son to the school, been playing since he was 5. Hey, John, Pali football is it's a wonderful football family. And so, if you can get into Pali, it is a charter school. And so, if he's around, if he's if he's a student, at Paul Revere Middle School, then Paul Revere is a feeder school into Pali, and so that's an automatic admission. But do what you need to do. He's in the 8th grade. Okay, so again, man, there's some other ways. You might have to hop on some kind of list if you want him to play. But we would love to have him. Here's a question: can the coaches recruit other teams' players?
That's totally illegal. Totally.
No. So, Maureen. So here's what happens.
You can.
Yeah. So you can, right? Coach Haidu can, go to Westchester and be like, hey, I'm looking for some Westchester players, but the players can kind of lobby each other because a lot of the players, they know each other at different schools, especially in the Western League here. And so, Amari knows Dejan because they run track together. And so, some of the players, and plus, depending on where the school is, some of these guys have played football in Pop Warner together. So, sometimes you'll see after the game, guys from different teams, they're kind of talking and, just kind of slapping high fives and congratulating each other. That's because some of these guys have played on teams before. And you'll see that as guys matriculate through high school, if folks are lucky enough to go to college, you'll see, all the meeting in the middle after the game. But before the game, you're not necessarily going to meet. But yeah, so some of these guys have played on similar basketball, football, baseball teams together, and so they kind of know each other. But if you know somebody who, you could definitely recruit and send them our way. Let's see. John says, we've come to a couple of faves, and he really liked the school and team. Okay. All right, John. Absolutely, man. We would love to have you. No, I got you. Come on through, man. If I can do anything for you, you can hit me up. I think you might be watching. Oh, okay. He was hoping to meet with Coach Hyduke. Okay. Hey, I think
I'm always in my office, usually around 2 to about 4.
There you go. So he's in the office downstairs on the track, and so there, you can't miss the football office. It has the weight. The big weight stands outside weight room right next to the football office. So, John, that's, Coach Hyduke is offering an invitation. Come on down. And, if that's going to help you make your decision where you want to bring your son and play football, then, Pali's a wonderful place to come. And, you get a chance to kind of hang out with me as well. Facebook James.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, any last words, man? We've been kind of going on about an hour. We got a number of people watching. This is kind of unprecedented for me, but, any last words you want to say?
I just want to thank everybody who, the community is so supportive that, even when things go bad, you guys are there for us, and, your support's just been amazing. And believe it, the coaches feel it, the kids feel it. We all know when there's people out there supporting, and it really makes a difference when we know that people are really looking out for our best, and we appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you hopping on, man. I don't want to take any more of your time. I think I got a couple of things I just want to say before I close up the show. But I appreciate you hopping on, man. You're always welcome, and we'll look forward to doing this maybe sometime in the spring, maybe a preview of the Pali football season, or anytime you want to hop on, just let me know. We can send out the Pali Dolphin sign and let them know that you're going to hop on. You got something to say, and we can always make that happen. So you always have my door's always open to you, Coach.
I appreciate that. Same here.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
We appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Susan. All right, there's Coach. All righty. So there we go, guys. Just another wonderful night, and there we go. Okay. So, wow, just what a way to recap the season. And you know what, John? Let me just say this real quick, man. Now, unless your son is like a 5-star, 6, 7, 8-star player, we have a wonderful JV football team that's led by Coach Todd. He just finished up his first year. I think the boys went 8-2 this season. I'm not too sure, but yeah, very successful JV football program. The previous few years, it was coached by Coach Ray Marsden, who wanted to step away. He's still a teacher at Pali, but he wanted to step away and do something a little bit different. And so Coach Todd came in this year, his first year, got the boys organized, and just really continued the winning JV tradition. So that might be a guy you want to talk to as well. You might even know Coach Todd, and so it's all good. Janet says, thank you, Coach Hyduke, and the rest of the coaching staff. Truly appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to our kids. Absolutely. And then as we close, man, I don't know how many of you guys noticed that I was not live during the championship game. So here was the rationale. And I really wanted to, and I was actually going to go up in the stands and try to put up a picture of somebody else. And then I was like, well, they would know it's me because you're hearing my voice. But basically what happened during the championship game, they gave the exclusive rights to the cable company. I forgot what it was. for them to stream the football game. And so from what I'm understanding, they had different camera angles. They had commentators commenting on the game. And so hopefully that was of benefit to you. But yeah. And the thing about it, the commissioner over the CIF Los Angeles City section, I know her. My older son and her daughter went to college together. And so, she looked me dead in the eye. She's like, look, I know what you do. Please don't get me in trouble by live streaming the game from the sidelines. And so that was one of I'm sorry, Maureen. I really, really wanted to go live. But because I try to be a man of integrity, she said, look, I know you. I know what you do. Please don't get me in trouble. That's what she said. And so, and then I talked to one of the photographers. He was like, look, man, just enjoy the game. This is your last high school football game as a dad. My son is a senior. So, I'm done being a Pali football dad. So yeah. So with that said, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to stream the game. However, I'll probably stick around in some capacity and continue doing what I'm doing right now. I will be a Pali football uncle. I do have a nephew who played on the JV team, and I believe he's going to continue playing football. I have a daughter who's a cheerleader. And so what do cheerleaders do on Friday nights? They cheer. So most likely, I'll be around in some capacity, working social media. I probably will do this as well. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of episodes that I want to finish up this particular season with. I want to try to get Craig Wesson. If Craig Wesson is watching, Craig, I want you to come on because you're an awesome photographer, and I want these parents to know where they can get some of these wonderful photographs of their boys playing football. And so, yeah, this is a labor of love to me. And I just love it. So let me see. Maureen says, I understand your position. And so, Ken says, thank you. We will get them next year. Absolutely. Maureen says, thanks for all you do. You're great. Thank you. And Eric, my man Eric Navarro says, we appreciate what you do. Absolutely, man. This is fun. And actually, I've kind of added some little things over here in the Dolphin studio. So, I was talking to one parent. He's like, man, who helps you during your lives? I was like, nobody. It's just me. He's like, you? I'm just like, yeah, it's just me doing everything that I need to do. So, it's fun for me. It's fun, and it's a way for me to kind of spread the joy about Pali football. All righty, guys. That's all I have tonight. I appreciate you watching, and do me a favor. Give me a couple of thumbs up if you're watching. If you're closing out with me, just hit that thumbs up a couple of times. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, I think I'm live on my YouTube channel. And so what we're going to do, hey, Janet Garcia, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's what we're going to do. If you haven't done so already, you can follow us on TikTok, on This Week in Pali Football. And what I'm going to do is repurpose some of the videos. So I know a lot of the young people, they love TikTok. And so we've been putting what I call Pali Football faces, just some of the game faces that are a part of the team, the boys on the team. And then if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to This Week in Pali Football, and just subscribe. That way you'll know anytime I go live, either on the Facebook page or on the YouTube page. And then last but not least, our Instagram page. Just go ahead and follow Pali HS Football, and that'll get you to our Instagram feed as well. So I appreciate you guys. I see a couple of thumbs up. Janet says thank you. Maureen gives me thumbs up. Eric gives me some thumbs up. Janet as well. Other than that, guys, I think I am done because I don't want to continue rambling. I appreciate you watching. And next week, I may not go live. Only because I think I have another obligation that if I go live, it might be after 7:30. So if you want to hop on after 7, maybe around 8 o'clock hour, then that'll be cool. But Craig Weston, if you're watching, if you're watching the replay, Craig, I want you on next week, my man. All right. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We're excited about what's going to come forward with Pali football. And as always, go Pali. Thanks for watching, you guys. Take care. Good night.